Slowly close your eyes, moment of silence. Observe the breath, inhale and exhale. Deep inhale. Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena yopakarottam pravaram muninam patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Slowly, hands on the face. Deep inhale, exhale, open your eyes and focus on the palms. Right, so a very good evening to all of you. Hello, sir. Hi, nice to see you on video. And hi. So good. So what we will do today is basically we will go through the next couple of sutra. So last week we started the chapter 3. So chapter 3, we did an introduction about what we are going to learn, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So today we will understand how, as a person in your life, how we can really experience the dharana, dhyana and samadhi. What it theoretically tells and how we can experience it, also why we can't experience it. It's easy to understand in the sense why we can't experience it rather than we say why we can experience it, right? Most of us haven't experienced, so better to understand what is the reason behind that, right? So then next week, from thereafter, what we are going to learn is Patanjali also explains from here, once you understand what exactly is dharana, what exactly is dhyana, what exactly is samadhi, he explains through going into samadhi, how a person can actually do certain things out of his mind. So there are some people who have healing powers. There are some people who have ability to read somebody else's mind. There are some people, you ask any question from them, they know the answers because they are concentrated on the basic things in the nature. So once you are fully aware of the basic things in the nature, how the nature is made out of, you can actually answer anything out of it. So there can be people in your life as well, like mentors, where you go for any problem, any question. It can be scientific, it can be business related, it can be anything. They will have the answers. So you might think, how can a person have answers like that? So Patanjali start to explain how that happens, right? Good. So with that understanding, again to recap, so we have 4 chapters in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. So Patanjali is a saint who has mastered in Ayurveda, who have mastered in language, which is Sanskrit. And now he is going to tell us about how to master the mind. So that's what we say in the very first shloka when we start off. We say, Yogena chittasya padena vacham malam sharirasya cha vaidyakena. So being an Ayurvedi, he has mastered the body. Being a grammarian, he has mastered the language. So he has purified the body, he has purified the words. Now, being a yoga sadhaka, he is going to master the mind, right? And that is this whole Patanjali Yoga Sutra is about. Right. So let me share my screen. I haven't opened that, is it? Okay. Right. Okay. So we spoke about, yeah, we will come back to these things. Right. So we said fixing your consciousness upon one thing, right? Maybe a split second, maybe a minute, maybe a 2 minutes. We call it dharana, right? So fixing your mind at one point, fixing your concentration at one point. Then we try to keep it in a constant way, right? We try to keep our focus continuously at some point, what we call as dhyana, right? We call it as dhyana. In Sinhala, in Buddhism, we say a person would, if you want to know about something, if you want to meditate, we say, this is a Sinhala term, dhyanayakata samavadino. What you mean as dhyanayakata samavadino, meaning a particular area, a particular thing, a particular frequency, you go there and you stay there. Samavadima is you stay there, right? So dhyanayakata samavadino, meaning, so basically your continuous consciousness or attention is put at one thing. Then, so that's what we meant through these dots. So the first dot will tell you, okay, you focus at one point. And then you keep the focus at one thing, right? Still there can be gaps. Then the next one is tattva arthamatra nirbhasham swarupa shunyam iva samadhi. What we mean as samadhi is not only we focus at one point constantly, but also we maintain that focus there to a level. Sometimes you dissolve in that, right? For an example, let's say you like a particular song, right? So sometimes listening to that song, you might even forget where you were. Sometimes being with a particular person would make you forget where you were, right? You will forget about everything. Sometimes we say, right? So when I'm with this particular person, I forget where I am. I forget everything about me, right? So sometimes listening to such a person would make you feel like you feel very free, right? You feel your egos and everything have gone away. You are so much comfortable in it. And you are basically being one with something, right? We will try to understand these things in a little bit detail towards the latter part of the discussion today, right? So that is what is meant as samadhi, right? Then they say, sorry, not they, Patanjali says, what happened? All right, fix this side, oh yeah, onto the top, okay, right? Then Trayam ekatra samyamaha, meaning these three together is what is called as samyama, right? And for an example, one would say, to play a cricket game, you need a bat, ball, and players. So you cannot play cricket with a ball only. You cannot play cricket with a bat only. You cannot play cricket with 11 players without a ball and a bat, right? So Poonam, try to stay in one position, right? Otherwise, it's a little distracting. Yeah. So these three together is what you call as samyama, meaning it's the discipline. This is the discipline we require in order to continue this journey, right? So when the discipline is there, basically even samadhi, there are no gaps in between, right? So samyamaha meaning you are fully into one thing, right? Now, 3.5 or the fifth sutra under chapter 3, right? So this part is getting very, very interesting, right? So, tajyayat prajna lokaha. Tajyayat prajna lokaha, meaning tad is from that, out of that, or mastery of that, you become to the light of prajna. Right? So what is the difference between knowledge and prajna? Right? It's even though we say knowledgeable people, intelligent people, they go into like you have so much of knowledge, so then you can achieve prajna. The reality is intelligence or the knowledge is something we fill up our mind with so many things, right? For an example, let's say we are learning maths. How many theorems that we need to learn? How many ways of solving that we need to learn? And how many types of questions that we need to learn? Go back to your A-level times, right? So there are formulae, and then there are methods to solve the formulae, and then there are multiple methods to solve it, and then you have the interpretation. So all these, a teacher will come and pour that knowledge into you, so you will know that, right? So that is knowledge. So like that, let's say one person is having one master's degree, one or three master's degree, one PhD, and one professional qualification, and this certification, that certification, and vast majority of certifications. Basically, you have poured concepts, knowledge, these things into your head. But prajna, on the other hand, is getting away from everything of those and coming into the maximum full silence, right? So none of those are there, right? For an example, let's take an example like this. So think about your knowledge itself, right? Think about your mind itself, right? So your mind, if somebody can just play it in front of you, what would be the conclusion? Your mind at a particular point, right now, your mind. So I'm going to put something inside your ear, which will touch your head inside, and then it will read out the mind and project it in front of us. So there will be so much of pictures or movements or thoughts or memories, feelings, emotions, all these things will play, right? And one to another, it's not even connected, right? So one picture to another. So right now, let's say if I ask you, I'm not going to ask you, don't worry, right? So if you look at your mind right now, if you close your eyes for a minute and observe what comes to your mind, there will be so many things will come. Whatever happened within the day, something totally unrelated, an animal will come, some place that you visited will come, your children will come, or something, a way that you scolded somebody will come, the petrol queues will come, right? And the government will come, and so many things, right? So if you project whatever running in your mind right now in front of you, there is a reasonable assurance that you yourself or us ourselves will diagnose that this is a crazy person. This person is mad, crazy, right? So just do that exercise, right? So maybe after the session, just sit down. Before sitting down, you can do some stretches, right? So the stretches will help you to stay in a comfortable way, right? And then just sit down. Keep your body straight. You use any cushions or whatever you want to sit down, stuff it and just sit down, close your eyes, don't talk, and just observe. Don't try to focus on anything, right? Let whatever your ears are gathering, let it come, and then let whatever your nose is smelling, let it be there, right? And just only close your eyes. The moment you close your eyes, so much of nonsense start popping up in your head, right? So higher your educational knowledge, higher your academic knowledge, there's a tendency higher that you will, get these things, because you are being trained to look at things in different ways. A person who have a business degree, philosophy degree, and an IT degree, that person have 3 ways of looking at the same thing, right? So much of theories in art side theories are there, philosophy side theories are there, and then business side theories are there. So something, when you look at, it's a profit or a loss for somebody, or a good investment or a bad investment for somebody, right? And for another person in a philosophical side, okay, you use it for meditation. That is a different way of using it. You can't put a value to that, right? Then a logic type of person would say, okay, this is not good, this is bad, right? So if you look at your mind, better the things that you have gathered, right? Busier you are, you have so much things that you are filling in your head, right? So at the moment you close your eyes, this will come up. So thought after thought after thought after thought, right? So how these thoughts are working. So one day I told you, you can only have one thought at a time, right? Now for an example, your input organ, right? I and then mind will create a picture. If you only have I but no mind, there is no picture. You will just see something, but it's not a picture. For you to define, this is the screen that I'm looking at right now, you need the I, which is the input organ, the mind, and then the picture will be there. In Buddhism, we call this I-related mind part the Chakku Vinyana, right? The nose-related mind part, Ghana Vinyana. Ghana, what is the other word? Vinyana, right? Then ear-related one, Sota Vinyana, right? Then tongue-related one, Jivha Vinyana, right? Then skin-related one, right? So, and then Manas, Mano Vinyana, right? The chattering happening inside. So you have all these organs taking things in, processing, and giving you out, right? So if you can process only one thought at a time, then what happens is, right now you only see this, you only see, but you don't hear, because one thought, only one input can be gathered at a time. So you will read, while reading you should not be able to hear me. But is that the case right now? No. While you are seeing this, you can hear it, and your mind is working and processing, while you can hear whatever happening around your environment as well. And while you even feel that the wind or the outer atmosphere. Then what does that mean, right? That means this particular one thought has 3 stages. The birth of the thought, the sustainability of the thought, and then the death of the thought. In Buddhism, we call this Utpada Titi Banga. In Hinduism, we call it Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra. Right? These are 3 deities assigned to each of these stages. Right? The beauty of it is this particular process of something to be born, stay there, and die, which is one thought. The time it takes is even a split second of a split second, right? We call it Chittakshana, one, right? That is like out of a millisecond, 1 out of 17 times, right? So it is that fast. I can't exactly remember that measurement, but there is a particular measurement as well for this time, right? So your mind is processing. So right now, at a moment you see, at a moment you hear, at a moment you feel, at a moment you smell, right? So these things are happening like at a very fast pace, right? An IT person would understand how a CPU processes, right? So likewise, at a very fast pace, these things are being processed, right? So that's why you feel like, okay, while I'm seeing, while he talks, I can hear. Because it's not that, you are gathering two thoughts in the same time. No, one thought after the other. Seeing, hearing, seeing, hearing, seeing, hearing. Likewise, it continuously happens, right? So if you look at mind, if you try to understand what is the processing power of it, it's the most sophisticated processing power that you have in the entire world, right? So now let's go back. So with the understanding, so what do you need to understand right now? So our mind is processing continuously, and one thought get processed at one point. And the life of this one thought is such a small thing that without your knowledge, even thought by thought, it generates one by one, one after the other. But you feel like everything happens in the same time, right? Good. So the fifth sutra, the meaning, knowledge comes through gathering so many insight, but the brain, inside the brain, but prajna comes through the silence and focus on the self, right? Then the sixth sutra, tasya bhumisu viniyogaha, meaning samyama may be applied in various spheres to derive its usefulness. So this discipline we can use in different ways to arrive at its outcome, right? So Patanjali himself, he's saying, so the one would think all these five things what we learned about the yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, these are nonsense. This is the part, right? But the reality is, for you to burn down your kleshas, you have to burn out your kleshas for you to come here, right? So that can be done through yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. You must master those. You must master those. And then you actually come to do the internal work, right? For a person who hasn't done yoga, a man looking at a woman's body think that, my God, that's the heaven. Or a woman looking at a man's body would say, my God, that's the heaven. But if you have practiced yoga asana, you will understand neither this or that is not the heaven. It's just the temporary vehicle that we have to maintain, and how hard it is to maintain, right? So can you sit properly? You can't. When you sit in a way, your alignment goes haywire, right? Can you walk properly? You can't. Can you stand properly? If I ask you to stand and tighten all the muscles, this will happen. This is what we call tadasana, right? Can you stay steady like a palm tree? You can't, right? Then can you bend yourself? That also you can't, right? Inversion, that also you can't, right? So even though you are in an outer perspective, so I look at a person, I look at somebody in front of me, I would say, wow, look at that person, so nice. So I'm just seeing an external bag of muscles, juices, and excretion material one person is carrying out inside the body everywhere he goes, right? So for you to understand this, you must do yoga. Not that for you to shape that up or make it more flexible. No, that's not the purpose of you doing yoga. Then you are just kidding yourself, if that is the reason that you are doing yoga, right? But for you to understand what's the reality behind that, right? So when we do pranayama, we understand, okay, I can't breathe properly. My breath is very short, meaning I am given two nostrils. I am given the oxygen free of charge without staying in a queue right now, these days, right? But still, you don't breathe. So you are given oxygen, you are given a nose. Because you don't breathe properly, you feel tired very frequently, right? So you learn to breathe properly, right? So breathing properly is again a way of connecting with the nature. The tree gives you from carbon dioxide to air. And that air I take inside myself and I give the input back to the trees to inhale the carbon dioxide. The same oxygen I inhale, my cat sitting next to me and my dog sitting next to me also inhales. And they exhale. And whatever they exhale, I inhale again. Right? So like that, if you really see, we all inhale the same thing starting from a worm to a big whale. Right? Because we are part of the nature. But the sad thing is, are we doing it right? Are we doing it to the maximum possible that we can? Right? So when you do that to the maximum possible that you can, your brain, your body, your whole nadis, the nervous system, these things start to get activated. So that is like engineering a vehicle, right? So if you put bad petrol, it will not function very well. If you put super petrol, super diesel, it will work very well, right? One example is these days, there is a car brand called Subaru, which is a Japanese racing car brand, right? So this car right now, it can't function because of not having the 95 petrol, right? So at the moment you put 92 petrol to the vehicle will stop giving its full performance, right? So all the vehicles are in garages in queues. So there also you have queues, right? So likewise, if you don't take the input correctly inside you, then you're going to get sick, right? So these the basic 5 things will help you to become a good person, morally as well as in the society, so that you don't get involved with unnecessary things. Build a proper body, build a proper breathing system, and then learn to detach, pratyahara, right? So with that, then actually you are ready to explore the mind. Otherwise, what is in your head most of the time is basically your kleshas. Unless you burn those kleshas, there's no room for you to even think how the thinking happens. Why can't I, find some peace of mind? All these things, you can't even think of that before you burning your kleshas, right? That's what Patanjali is trying to explain through Sutra number 6 and 7. So he says, Samyama may be applied in various spheres to derive at the usefulness, right? Then 7. Trayam antarangam purvebhyaha, meaning these 3 aspects, trayam, these 3, tra is 3, trayam, these 3, meaning dharana, dhyana, samadhi, antar angam, antar is inside, angam is items, internal items, interior parts. Purve bhyaha, meaning in relation to the preceding one. So related to the previous ones in the sense, the yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara. Related to those, these are internal. Dharana develops the sharpness in the intelligence. Yeah, dharana develops and sharpens the intelligence, and then dhyana purifies the consciousness, and samadhi leads to consciousness towards the soul, right? Then, so I have a question here, I'll come to that. He says, similarly, samyama is external when compared to seedless samadhi. So there are 2 samadhis called sabija samadhi and nirbija samadhi, right? So the one who experiences the seedless or nirbija samadhi, even the above 3 feels like external. Even dharana, dhyana, samadhi also feels like these are external things, right? So now the question is, so who is there to experience all of these, right? So you have a mind. So your mind continuously keep moving. Sometimes when we sleep, when we wake up in the morning, we are tired. Why we are tired? Because we had a chain of dreams. In your dreams, you have hit a person, you have scolded somebody, you have run through a person, you have gossiped so much, or you have got a lottery, you have won something, you have been so happy. So either because of these two reasons, when you are waking up, for the feeling of you have lost something, right? You are going to basically feel tired, right? So I'll show you something. Yeah. So forget about what is written in the ninth sutra, right? So you take one thought. Just take one thought, right? So every thought will be born and it will be there and it will die, right? So, and the time of this born, being, death happens like not even this, right? It's like when I do this, thousands of things have happened, right? So in a tiny second divided into 60, divided into 60, like that, it will happen. It's very fast. And that happens one at a time, right? So, yeah, so I explained how do you drive listening at the same time. So why? Because these things are very small and things are happening in a order, right? So when your samskaras, so whatever thought comes to your mind is basically a samskara. Maybe it's a samskara you have created in this life, or maybe it's a samskara coming from your previous life. So if at all, right now, if you think, okay, tell me just one thought. I feel hungry, I should eat, right? So you feel hungry, you should eat, right? So then what happens? Then after that, it goes to, okay, what are the options? What do you have today? Do we have roti, paratha, noodles, what not? Then next thought, have we cooked it? Can we bring from outside? Can we order from this place? Like that. Then the next thought comes, if I am to order, there was a nice restaurant over there. Remember the same thing you ate at this place, that place, likewise, the mind will keep on running, right? But if you don't have this samskara of going after taste, then I need to eat, some food is there. From there, that chain stops, right? You need to eat, some food is there. It can be manioka, it can be patola or anything, you eat that and that's it, right? So what's the difference between these two thought flows? The first one is very long. It leads one to another, to another, to another, to another. Second one, you generated a thought, it went to the option and then it died, right? So the difference is the kleshas that we have in our storehouse of samskaras, right? When it says food, we are greedy of the taste. So basically the taste, the tongue is giving us options, the hallucinations. When we hear something, if you take, okay, I heard something and that's it. Okay, that's just a noise. But if you are greedy to music, immediately when you hear it, you will want to figure out, okay, what's that song? Who's singing that song? What is that version and all this kind of thing. While we are in the class, if you hear the TV in the background, right now, when you hear the noise of the TV, you exactly knows what channel they are playing, what program they're running. So these are the kleshas. When somebody is talking, you first of all figure out, is it a man or a woman? That's a girl, okay? Then what? Oh, feels like a young girl, right? Okay, young girl, do I know this person? Oh, this is this one. No, can't be this one. This should be this one's sister. Likewise, it keep on going. But imagine your ears are tuned in such a way, whatever the noise comes in your way and passes your way, it doesn't matter. Anything that comes to your ear is noise, that's all. You don't process. So basically you have the ear, you have the mind, and then equals, it's a particular sound, a specific sound. But if you take this mind part out, or at least try to reduce this mind storehouse, your ears will grab so much noises and all, but the processing would be very low. So your mind would be much clearer or a little calmer. Right? Again, I'm taking that radio example. While you are driving, when you switch on the radio, you are not actually paying any attention to that. Right? Sometimes what you all need is just some noise that it will make you not feel asleep. Right? Because of how many of you switch on the radio because you don't want to sleep while driving? That happens, right? So sometimes when I even drive in the night, so I put the radio a little louder, not because I enjoy that song. I know that song is total crap, right? It doesn't have any meaning. And if I know the meaning, that's not even a song that I should even listen, right? But you just keep on that noise. So, but from there onwards, you don't process it in your head, right? So this whole processing happens because of the samskaras or the kleshas that we have. Right? So I asked a question yesterday in the group, what is the biggest fire? What's the biggest fire? It's the fire of lust. Accept or not, that's the answer. Right? So it's the fire of lust. Irrespective of the age group, it's the truth. Right? So as far as you have that, you will lose sleep. Even in your old age, you will lose consciousness. Still, physically you are incapable, but mentally it's running. That is a very dangerous situation. Right? When you are young, physically you are not supposed to be there, but it's keep on running. So that's why people take magazines and CDs, pictures and everything to school. Right? And how much of a work that we do to protect them from the teachers and everybody. Right? And then in your younger age, you have the mental capacity, you have the physical urge. So the mental capacity, mental thinking, the samskaras are directly connected to your physical organs, right? So that's where we say, I saw that person and at the first look itself, I fell in love with that person and we should spend the rest of our lives together, right? Not the rest, give it 6 months, right? So basically that's where it is. Then when you go through your old age, if you still have not exhausted your kleshas, you are not going to find a peace, right? Same thing with food, right? So there is a particular set of people we call, say, foodies. There is a nice video of Sadhguru. So somebody introduces herself saying, Sadhguru, I'm a foodie. Right? And before even she asked the next question, Sadhguru asked, what's the way of your existence? What's the point of your existence? So are you saying you are given a human life out of many other life forms to eat? Are you eating to live or are you living to eat? So that person is living to eat. So you keep on eating, right? But if you really see our digestive system, this mouth or this opening to the other opening, it's not even 1 meter's distance, right? But to satisfy this mouth, you go to so much of different restaurants. You do a job, right? You sweat and you do a job. Why you want to satisfy this mouth, right? And then you go to another country because you want to experience that country's particular local cuisine, right? And then so many of them, but everything within a meter's distance, it goes and we call it excretion and we don't want even to look at it, right? Maximum we will spend to a very good bathroom system to make sure that that particular problem is taken care of very fast, right? So if you don't have the urge or if you don't go after tastes, so you are basically exhausting that requirement, right? Eat for survival. That's what we teach in yoga, hatha yoga. So when I started the yoga classes, I used to tell, when you come to the yoga class, no tea, no food. Last night, you must have light food, and that also has to be excreted, and you should be clean before you come to the yoga class, right? Because for us to do yoga, we don't keep dirt or garbage inside, right? Whatever, how nice it is, whatever you eat from this mouth become garbage after this point. And you don't want to see what's even happening inside, right? It's that ugly. So if you exhaust the need to satisfy your tongue, basically then survival is not a big deal. You take your necessary proteins, you take your necessary calciums, and you can just eat anything and you can survive, right? Then the next one, smell, right? So that is also another samskara, which is a klesha, right? Why would a person spend so much of thousands for a perfume? It's not, when you apply the perfume smell actually you don't get, because if you stay with the perfume smell for 10 seconds, your nose identifies, okay, this is going to be normal for some time. And then after that, you will not feel that perfume smell. So you want to impress others, you want to go in the presence of others and make sure that your aroma is very impressive. So you use money and you go to the airport, you go after your duty free, and then you go after the brands and all this kind of thing. And then you will want the particular perfume to make sure, not even for you, for others, right? So that is a smell problem, right? So there are people who can eat, of course, yesterday's food, day before's food, and all this kind of food, because the smell part of the food is basically gone. So as soon as the smell part of the food, or the greed for the smell of the food, if you can exhaust that, food becomes delicious. Food becomes filling, right? So that is another part. Then what you hear. So if you can stay in a particular place and so much things that you hear to your ears, while you hear all these nonsense to your head, if you can stay without getting distracted, meaning whatever you are hearing to your ears, you are not bringing it and processing. You are not applying the mind to process it, right? So basically, if we can do that, that means we are coming out from our kleshas. As much as we can, when we come out from our kleshas, we are actually coming out from the bonds, right? All these kleshas are connected with a bond. So we are coming out from these bonds. So when you come out from these bonds, what happens is, at a particular time when you are silent, and let's say we are trying to meditate, right? The number of thoughts which will run in your head will be lower. Agreed? Right? So the number of thoughts, if your kleshas are burnt, right, you don't have so much of, so this is what we call as vairagya. You like some food, it doesn't, Patanjali don't say don't eat it. There's delicious food, don't eat it. No, Patanjali says there's delicious food, go and eat it, right? Eat it with your full senses and just go beyond that. Don't cling on to that food. Next day also don't go and ask for the same food. No, you get your this greediness and whatever you liked about that food, just get over with that, right? And then move on. That's what he means as vairagya. Then he says abhyasa, meaning continuously keep on doing that. So basically, food will become just a method to nourish your body only. In yoga also we say, eat only to nourish your body. That's enough, right? So, and the other thing is, so we talked about the eyes, we talked about the nose, we talked about the ears and the mouth. So how to exhaust the samskaras or kleshas in our mouth, what are the methods of doing that? One good method which pumps dopamine to your head, the best method to give relief to your head, it makes you feel good. What's the way? Now you have a problem, right? So you have a real personal problem, right? What's the best way to get out of it? To talk about it somebody else. That's what people say, right? So there are counselors to listen to other people's problems, right? Come here, pay $1,000 an hour and tell your problems. We don't give a damn about it, right? So this is a space that is created to dump your things. Come and do that, right? But if you don't talk, right? Especially if you stop gossiping, men and women, everybody, we gossip, right? We are experts in gossiping, right? Go to office meeting. What is the first topic that you talk about? Hey, there is going to be a protest tomorrow, right? Are you any plans to go out, right? Or we will say the fuel is, coming to an end. If you go to that particular station, you should be able to pump some fuel, right? And so basically the news, and we have news agencies to give us that food, right? Food for thought. Right. So we have this agency, that agency, this channel, that channel, this radio channel, these guys, this YouTube channel, and these YouTubers. There are some people called YouTubers, right? They all come and pour nonsense to us, right? And then we have our mobile device, right, 24/7. So we go to YouTube, and one after now, even YouTube's, there is a section called Shorts. Right? Shorts is like your mind. One short, swipe up, another one, swipe up, another one, swipe up, swipe. So if you see, you can actually spend hours watching those. And one is disconnected to another. Complete nonsense. Because if you watch that, you will live in a miserable way. If you don't watch it, you will live in a better way, because less information being fed to your mind. So please talk less. And if there is somebody else is just chattering, let it just become noise. Don't let it become information to your head. The way how it becomes information is you listen, in the sense you input through your ear, plus you process it with your mind. But if you just let it input, in Sinhala we say, that means it comes from here and it goes from here, but in the middle, we don't apply the mind to process it. Right? Let it be like that. Then the life would become, the same life that we are spending right now will become very peaceful, less stressful. So that is what Patanjali explains through Yam and Niyam. Don't talk nonsense, don't harm people, don't steal, right? All these takes your mental capacity through your sense organs or your karmendriya, right? With your hands and everything, whatever you do, or with your sense organs, whatever you intake, right? So these kleshas, if you can exhaust, right? Raga, dvesha, and imagine when we want to scold somebody, one person starts scolding another person, right? And the next person comes, and that becomes like a big fire, right? And that scolding make you feel really good, right? So if you can actually keep your mouth shut in certain places, and if you can just take some relaxing routine, meaning after work you have this, after that you have that, after this you have this. So much of things are happening, right? All these are input variables. So if you can have like a normal life, don't talk too much, don't listen to nonsense, or even if you listen to nonsense, identify them as nonsense and don't process it, right? So every time when some news comes up, if you feel angry, you get to know that, okay, I am getting angry because of this news. If I didn't hear this news, I am not angry right now. So some thought externally has been fed inside me, and I am being now wasting my energy, right? So if you can, so that is basically what we call as watching the mind. Whatever comes, you just keep watching what you input to your head, right? If that happens, then easily you become much able to walk in front of people who are talking nonsense but not getting anything to your head, right? You go and eat without much being, considered about the taste of it, right? Even you do yoga, it's painful sometimes, but you don't give a damn about it, right? So yeah, it is painful. Yeah, fine. So let it be painful, and you finish your yoga after doing that, and then come. So if you get into this routine, what happens is your thought flows become very low, right? And then what happens is basically you are being able to observe your thoughts. This comes to my mind, this comes to my mind, this comes to my mind. Then at a point, what Patanjali, Buddha, both of them, what they say is, so this thought being born, being there, die. Next thought being born, being there, die. Next thought being born, being there and die. So there is a little distance between two thoughts, right? Lesser the thoughts you have, you are able to increase this gap a little bit more, right? So this is what they call as Samadhi. So in this space, between one thought to another thought, what do you have? If you don't have thoughts in your head, meaning you are actually not engaged with your sense organs, right? You are not engaging with your sense organs. You are not processing anything in your head, right? So that's the same silence which is outside there, right? So one can say this environment is, so right now, let's say I'm sitting here, then another person is sitting next to me. So I'm saying this environment is very noisy, right? So I'm saying, I can feel this, hear this little insects making noises. I can hear the sound of the clock, and I can hear some things. I can hear a dog barking. I can hear vehicles are moving, and all I can tell. But the next person sitting next to me will say, this is such a calm environment because it's very silent, right? Why is that happening? Because I am very external oriented. I am gathering everything and processing. But on the other hand, he is a little internal oriented. He don't gather all these things. That noise is just noise. You don't process it. It doesn't matter. You are in your samadhi, right? So what these philosophers are telling is, if you have lesser thoughts, lesser activity in your mind, lesser thoughts and emotions that you have, better the ability that you can take a break between your thoughts. And what you should focus is, you should try to increase this break, increase this break. Now, there is a break. Now, what is this break is focused on? Nothing. Right? This is like a vacuum. So this is what we call as nirbija samadhi, right? There is no seed. In chapter 1, we talked about samprajnata, asamprajnata samadhi, and we said rupavachara, arupavachara. We gave 2 words to that. What does rupavachara meant? So I focus on something in front of me. I focus on something in front of me, and I fully focus on this. I totally focus on this. I observe that. I fully keep my eye on a particular point and I keep on observing. So this is what Rupavachara Samadhi, meaning I need some external object to focus, right? But then when you exhaust your kleshas, right, you actually being able to be at the peace without a thought. Without thoughts, you are being able to be at your peace, which means without a thought means now this is also a thought. But right now I'm without a thought means there is no seed. There is no seed of klesha, which I need to keep on processing to be free. Right? So that's what we call as nirbija samadhi. Right? So what is the root cause for all of these things? Our own samskaras. Because of our own samskaras, we have so much of kleshas. What is the result of a klesha is a bond. Every klesha has its bond. Bond to can be food, bond to sound, bond to what you see, bond to a person, bond to the touch, right? And all these bonds are there. So if you can exhaust those things, you are actually being relaxed from these things. Less things in your head, right? So that's basically the lesson today. So a few more things. So people are scared to stay without being busy, meaning people are scared to stay in silence. Some people would say very honestly, at the moment I sit and close my eyes, so much things come to my mind and it keep on bombarding. So better I keep my eyes open and not think about those things, because when I close my eyes, those things come to my head and it makes me feel sad. Right? We call that depression, dementia. Moment you close your eyes, oh, this person I lost, or the person who died, oh, my son, my daughter who left me, all these things come and keep on, like it's killing you. It's like a knife. I don't have a knife around, right? It's like a knife which keep on, like, for the mind, like it just keep on coming, pinching, 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 pinching. These are samskaras, right? So keep on creating scars and everything, right? So what we should do is, so what psychologists, counselors, they say, have an extremely busy lifestyle. Have a day job, have a part-time job, and get on with this WhatsApp group and be with friends, go out with friends, take a drink with your friends, right? And weekends have a proper schedule. Wake up early in the morning, go for jogging, and then go for swimming, and then go for gardening, and then go for this particular class. Take your kids and go here, go there. You do all these kind of things. Why? Because for a person to stay in full silence or calmness, that makes a person crazy, right? So as far as we keep our lifestyles busy and busy and busy, we don't get this silent or the peaceful moment to be with ourselves. Because being with ourselves, when you close your eyes, all these things come and kill you. So we call sometimes go for a distraction. Right? People say when there is a problem, go for a distraction. Why? Because when there is a problem, if you keep your mouth shut, eyes closed, and try to, be with yourself, that problem come into your head and keep on taking your energy out. Keep on thinking, and it ends up at a yoga place or some counselor or somebody, 3,000 rupees per hour, right? Counseling. So this is the same thing which is explained in even there's a concept called Paticca Samuppada, right, in Buddhism. So it clearly says the linkage between the different things, and it clearly tells when you are silent, all your madness or your true self will come out. When you are in silent, whatever the thoughts comes to your head, if you project it out, people will, like, within a minute, they will decide, okay, this person is crazy, take him to the mental hospital, right? So it's a distraction to make your life so busier and busier, so that things don't come and disturb you. But if you want to get out of this journey, if you want to do yoga, if you want to learn the spirituality, you must face it, right? You should learn to stay silent and then observe what's coming to your mind and then just analyze it. There's these things every day in, day out I process, but it doesn't have any meaning or value, right? Whole food regime, you can just throw it out, right? Whole greediness for lust, passion, you can actually exhaust it. Because if you take one experience, your second experience is nothing different to that first experience. You have an affair with one person. So if you think, okay, the second person is different, taller, nicer, voice is different, she have different, or he have different qualities and all. If you think, okay, that person would be different than the first person, never. It's the same. Experience at the bottom of it is the same. Just the exterior matters would be different. If you take a Ferrari and a Maruti, it's the same. It goes from A to B, right? Just so likewise, if you try to bucket these things, your mind will be a little bit free, right? So that is what we need to do as exhausting our kleshas. We have our kleshas, please understand them and then learn to exhaust it. But exhausting a klesha doesn't mean you suppressing it, right? So I have certain, let's say, I like a particular person, right? So now he told, suppress your klesha. No, don't like that person. Now don't look at that person. Stop thinking about that person. Stop calling, texting, stop listening to that person. That's not what you should do, right? Go to the bottom of it and you need to understand it. Only Dharma can help you to do that, right? And also experiences. So you can't exhaust or you can't go beyond something without experiencing that as well. That will always have, like under the ashes, you have little fireballs, right? Likewise, it'll always be there because it'll always have an element of curiosity, right? Even though Dharma comes, even Lord Buddha comes and sometimes tell you, you will still have your own curiosity. Because of that, it will be there. So you suppress something, it will look like ashes, but under the ashes, you have the fire still. Just a matter of, giving a little blow, and then the fire will come up again. Right? So that's where monks, people go into monkhood, and they meditate, and then at one point, they'll just go out of everything. Right? That's that wind, what you blow. Right? So once that wind comes, again the fire will come up. So that's where a very nice concept in Hinduism, even in Buddhism. Even if you take Lord Buddha as an example, Ramana Maharishi, who else? Right? All these saints, if you take, they all have this whole full-scale life. Right? You experience everything, and then it's easy to become a monk. Even Lord Buddha had the most beautiful wife in the world. He had all the physical or everything else, right? For a prince, I mean, you don't have to explain anything else, right? So everything you had. So you experience everything. If you experience everything, it's easy to let go of it. If you don't experience it, the curiosity factor will be always under the ashes, right? So you will suppress and you say like, okay, I'm a yogi, I'm a meditating person, so I'm all this, I'm good, I'm vegetarian, I'm this, I don't drink. No, if you haven't drank, I'm not asking you to become, drunkards. Unless you have experienced it, you don't know what it is, right? You experience it and then realize, yeah, doesn't have much, right? That's fine. Water is better, right? And then you go ahead. So that's how a lot of people who have sustained in the spiritual journeys have sustained. People with 3 divorces, 4 divorces, better, much better. They have seen the hell, right? Seen the hell, so they know, okay, what this is. So first wife was not good. You thought the second wife would be awesome. Same. Third wife is totally different. You marry a foreigner. No, it's not in Sri Lanka. Foreign land would be, no, it's the same again. Right? Then, I'm not asking you to get married also a couple of times, but I'm saying don't suppress your this thing. Rather, you experience it and realize. That is more solid foundation rather than you suppress things and this thing, right? So that's how these monks who have gone to Buddhahood or gone to tapas have sustained, right? Good. With that, we will finish off for today. So if you have anything, you can ask. So we will first of all stop the session and then we will discuss, right? So hands in namaskaram. Take a moment, close your eyes. Observe the inhalation and exhalation. Only observe the inhalation and exhalation. Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Shanti Shanti Shanti. Rub your palms, keep your face, closing your eyes in the darkness. Slowly open your eyes, bring the palms down and focus at your palms. So have a very good night. So if you have anything, you can ask.